welcome back to the Idiot in His Garage. Today we're going to welcome back to a boredom beating edition of Idiot in His Garage. So we're all locked at home, we're all bored, we all want to do some modifications. Well, I'm exactly the same. So I looked at the rear lights and I thought I can do something with them. So I tinted them. You can see how to tint. I've done a video before. But I decided I wanted to go for these LED sequential lights. But these are also switchback, so they'll also do reverse lights. So what we're aiming to do is, there's your sequential, but also it will also do a nice reverse light. Well, that's what we're going to do. Let's see how it's done.
Okay, time to split the headlamps. We're going to use the oven for doing this. I've set it to 200 degrees. I haven't preheated it or anything. And notice that I'm putting paper down. So when I actually put the plastic on it, the metal's not going to start melting into the plastics. So in it goes. So these are some of the tools that I'm going to use. So I've got two pry tools, a fat one and a thinner one. And I've got a couple of screwdrivers that I'm going to use to help me pry it apart. Oh, and gloves. Okay, now all I'm doing on this one is I'm just loosening it up, and I'm going to put the pry tool in between it all and just kind of break away that rubber seal that's in there, and then I'm going to put it back in. Okay, now this is the final part. Now I'm just using the screwdriver to wedge in where the little clips are. I'm not actually prying it apart. Now I'm using the plastic pry tool to actually push apart the lens from the backing section. And you can see, I just carry on just slowly wedging it apart and then start pulling. Now the next bit is to use the screwdriver to actually just cut that like rubbery material that sealed it. You can see it here. Now all I'm doing is slowly kind of, it looks like I'm pulling it hard, but I'm pulling it quite softly and just cutting that rubbery material, the seal if you like, so I can then pull it apart. Just nice and slowly, and it will come. There we go, it's almost done now. Last little bit, release that last bit, and voila, we have it split into two pieces.
Right, so I always recommend you test every single part, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to start connecting everything in, gluing it all into your light, and then of course find something that doesn't work. I mean, as much as these are really good, doesn't mean you're not going to get a faulty one, so that's working lovely. I mean, it doesn't take much for it to not work properly, so we just make sure everything works. Right, we're happy with that stage. We have lighting. Right, so you need to obviously remember, this is going to be your corner, and they flash in this direction. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to take off this blue sticky. Now this blue sticky, I don't really trust it, so we're going to use it just to hold it in place. Then we're going to heat up the glue gun, and we're going to glue gun it in place. So that's a lot more that I trust. Right, so you're pushing it right down into the edge, and then right at the bottom edge. Okay, so all the way down and all the way. Give it a nice, neat, smooth push as you're pushing it round. Peel off this backing. It's not always the easiest thing to do on these. So look, I've taken the rubber end off. The rubber end's really not that important. There we go. Peel off our sticky. I'm going to put the end back on just because I can. Right, again exactly the same thing, but this time obviously the top half going right into the corner, and then pushing, keeping it right at the top. Okay, so you can see they're both in there, and again push down nice and solid. I'm going to add a line of hot glue against this edge, down against this edge, right, and on the ends, just to make sure it's not going to go anywhere, not going to flap around. We'll see what happens. I might add a little bit in the centre of a section in a second, but we'll have a look at that. So the hot glue's gone off, and there is no way that those lights are going anywhere. So I'm really happy that that's held in. It looks nice and neat. Because these are switchbacks, your reverse light's not going to be operational when your hazard lights are working. So I'm going to leave that reverse light in. However, I don't want the reverse light covering all of this up. So I have a master plan for that too. Got a bit of Corex. Okay, so I've cut it to the shape, roughly, and we want it to go to, let's have a look. We really only want it to go to about there. So we're going to cut that down a little bit. Get the scissors out. So give it a bit of a cut down. This is not going to be really visible. But let's have a look. So we put that in there. When we put the lamp back on, how much would you be able to see? Only where the indicator is. So the only other thing to tidy it up, we want to put a bit of hot glue on these wires, because you can see those wires dangling out otherwise. I don't know if you can. We don't want these dangling, it looks a bit crappy, so we're going to put some hot glue on there. But we want the hot glue back out anyway, because we're going to hot glue this onto here. Okay. Nice and happy that that's not going anywhere now, it is stuck. Moving on with this project a little bit, the lights are all in, so we need to find a way to put the light in, obviously the wiring from our new lights, to the back of the light. So we're going to use the original indicator hole, okay? Because we're not going to have this indicator on there, we're going to take that off of there, it's not required anymore. We've got ourselves a nice little rubber grommet to go at the back there to make sure everything's waterproof. So what we need to do now is feed these wires through the actual unit and then through the rubber grommet. Okay, so I've got myself a little screwdriver. We've poked a little hole in it before this. I've got a screwdriver to help me kind of try to push the wiring through. You don't want to make a big hole. You just want to make a tiny little hole, because obviously this is going to be what's going to be waterproof. Very silly of me. Always make sure you obviously poke it through the hole first. Right. Now, we want to make sure that obviously this wiring is not going to get in the way, but also we want to secure this. So I'm going to hot glue these. I'm going to turn them around so the wiring is going that way, just to keep everything neat and out of the way, so nothing can then be seen. So you can see both of those are held in place and out of the way. That keeps all this wiring quite neat and tidy. Right, so now what we do is come around this side and then pull through what little bit of slack we have, just to keep the wiring nice and neat again. Right, there we go. I'm going to give it a little bit. Now we can push this rubber grommet, which is a 32mm rubber grommet, inside the hole. This is exactly the right size. So you can see, there you go, it's like there is absolutely no hole there at all. The grommet is sitting absolutely perfect. Time for the wiring. Okay, so we've got all of our new wires coming through here. So we're going to, at the moment, we're going to do the blacks, which is the earths. Just prepping the wires. Okay, that's our blacks there. And then we're going to need our yellows. That's the two that we're going to be using. This is the indicator. Right, so that's the two that we want to do right this second. Right, so we're obviously not going to use the indicator at all, so we're going to use the indicator wiring. So we know obviously the black is the earth, no longer required, get rid of. Go for the earth first. Okay, that's nice and stripped back. we've got our trusty bit of solder and solder gun here. Twiddle all these wires together and solder over the top of them. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put in the reds onto the reverse lamp. Now we already know that we've just used those two wires to go there, so we know that this is the reverse lamp, just white and black here. So we're going to connect the white and black. So this one's slightly different because we also need to put in a link wire, because I have got the JDM, which means I've got a fog light on the other side. Obviously we want these sequential LEDs and all that to be working on both sides, on reverse and sequential. Right, just going to twiddle our reds around it. Yep, we've got every connection there. Right, a bit more soldering. Tidying up the wiring a little bit now. So this is this Butyl seal. We're going to put it all the way around the outside. We've pulled it out thin. What you need to do is it needs to go right on this edge, just over the top slightly. So when you push it in, it's not going to get caught, but it needs to go on that edge. So as you can see all the way around the leading edge, and I doubled over a little bit on the end. Probably a little bit too much, but it should be fine. So now we just push it in place. Okay, we're going to push this down as far as we can go, and then we're going to add some heat. That should be long enough. Let's bring them out. Now what we're doing is pushing them, yes, plenty enough time, pushing them back to where they need to be. Two steel tail lights. So being as we have LEDs, we've got to use one of these resistor packs, and they do get a bit warm. So I'm not going to put this to the back of the light. I'm going to put it down into this bar down here, into the crash bar. Okay, so it's not going to get, it doesn't matter if it gets hot or anything, but then we're going to tap into this. This is where the light goes down here, so we'll tap the light onto this. So that means it's already LED, is already tapped in. Now, I'm going to mount this inside here. So I'm going to put a screw hole there, screw the thing down so it doesn't go anywhere. You see where I've screwed it down, no wires touching anything, so it's literally just sitting there out of the way. Okay, so we're going to put the splice over, as you can see, and then we've got a black. We slide it right down.
And that's a resistor all wired in, so it's now ready for the lights to be fitted. Well, this was the look we was after. Twin LED indicators, also does the reverse. Now the only side part that hasn't come out correct is when I stick it in reverse, I get a delay on the right hand side because I have a link wire, because I have a fog on the right hand side. But you'll see that when it comes up in the video in a second. Well, I'm over the moon with this mod. It was such an easy mod and looks excellent. Well, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to click on the like. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram accounts are on the bottom of the screen now. Stay home, people, stay safe. We'll see you at a show, hopefully, very soon.